Dan is at Maya's desk with two complaints, and he has brought the evidence for both. The deep quarterly analysis she ran through Claude came back excellent, but it came back slow and it ate a startling share of the team's usage limits. And her 100 short replies to routine customer questions each came back as 3 careful paragraphs, where 2 plain sentences would have done the job. So Dan says the thing managers say, this tool is too slow and too expensive. Maybe we should look at something else. Freeze there, because this is domain 3 of the exam product and model selection, about 1 question in 8 on your test. This episode teaches the skill Dan is accidentally asking for, which brain to rent for which job. Because the tool was not wrong twice, the match was Maya ran both jobs on the same brain at the same setting. And one of Anthropic's own official sample questions is hiding inside that stack of overwrought replies. We will face it in a moment. Before we get to models, there is a smaller matching decision people fumble every day, which feature to reach for. So let's walk Maya's own task list through it. Plain chat is the default, one-off questions, quick drafts, small edits, anything that does not need to be remembered tomorrow. A project is a workspace with its own knowledge base. Maya uploads the campaign documents once and every future chat inside that project starts already briefed. The research feature is for investigation. It runs a series of linked searches and returns one synthesized answer with citations you can check. And an artifact is a deliverable living in its own window beside the chat, a document or a small working tool that keeps its versions and can be shared beyond the conversation. None of these is a smarter mode. Each one fixes a specific weakness of plain chat, context that resets, answers that need many sources, output that needs a life of its own. So the shorthand recurring context becomes a project, a multi-source investigation becomes research, a deliverable you will iterate or share becomes an artifact, and everything else stays plain chat. Inside the lookup family, Anthropic publishes its own rule, and it is so exam-shaped, I want you to hear it twice. A quick fact needs a search, hard reasoning on information you already hold needs thinking time, and a report drawn from many sources for a skeptical reader needs the research feature. Once more slowly, searching is for finding, thinking is for working it out, and research is for gathering and citing at scale. Notice Maya's quarterly analysis was a thinking job all along. The data already sat on her desk, so giving it depth was the right call. Hold that thought for Dan. Now the models themselves, and the official exam guide names the 3 tiers outright: Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. Haiku is the fastest and cheapest tier, built for well-scoped work that runs in volume. Sonnet is the balanced middle, near flagship quality at a fraction of the cost, and the sensible default for most work. Opus is the most capable tier, for problems where a wrong answer costs more than the compute ever will. Model names and version numbers change all the time, so check the current lineup before exam day. But the ladder itself does not move, fastest and cheapest at the bottom, most capable at the top. The exam guide hands you the 3 axes for choosing a rung: cost, speed, and quality, and each one is a plain question. How good does this have to be? How quickly must it come back? And how many times will it run? Volume is the axis everyone forgets. One question on the big model is a rounding error. The same choice inside a job that runs 1,000 times a day is a budget line someone will eventually circle. The professional pattern is to start balanced, drop down when a task proves routine, and step up when the stakes rise or the quality misses. And speed only matters when a human is waiting, live work leans fast, and overnight analysis can afford the slow, capable brain, which is already half of Maya's defense. Here is the promise from the cold open Anthropic's second official sample question, and it is Maya's reply stack almost word for word. An associate needs a high volume of short customer reply drafts. Speed and cost matter more than deep reasoning which choice best fits the task. Option A. Use the most capable, highest cost model for every reply to maximize quality. Quality sounds unarguable, which is what makes this the politist trap on the exam. Capability the task never uses is pure spend struck. Option C. Disable all product features to reduce cost. That cuts capability without touching the mismatch. The replies are still running on the wrong tier, just with fewer tools struck. Option D, switch to a different AI platform. The dramatic move that dodges the correct small one. The mismatch would simply travel along in the luggage, struck. That leaves B, use a faster, lower cost model suited to straightforward high volume tasks. There is our stamp match, and read the direction of that answer carefully. The exam rewarded picking the cheaper model, and Anthropic's own rationale says the top model everywhere wastes the cost and latency budget. One more piece of this domain, the one that degrades quietly while nobody watches: context. Every chat has a working memory, everything Claude can see at once, and it is large but it is finite. Maya has one chat she has lived in for 6 weeks, vendor quotes at the top, hiring notes in the middle, budget at the bottom, and lately it misremembers the vendor's terms. That is not the model getting worse. That is the oldest material being compressed or slipping out of view, and the compression is lossy on purpose. Long chats also cost more than they look, because every new message rereads the whole pile above it before answering. So the exam wants a three-way judgment from you: restart, summarize, or persist. Restart when the chat has drifted across topics. Open a fresh one and carry over a short summary instead of the archaeology. Summarize when you need continuity in place. Ask for a compressed state of the thread and restate the facts that must not blur. Persist when the context will be needed again and again, which is exactly what a project is for. Move the durable documents in once and stop hauling them from chat to chat. Claude also keeps a separate cross-chat memory about you and your work, which is useful, but do not confuse the curated notebook with the finite desk. The exam checks that you know they are different things. Before the last question, a quiet word about the feeling underneath this domain. Choosing the cheaper model can feel like giving the work less respect, so people quietly route everything to the biggest brain to be safe. The exam takes the opposite view, and so does every good operations lead. Cost is a real professional consideration, not stinginess. Matching down is the same skill as matching up. Both come from reading the task honestly instead of flattering it. The person who runs routine replies on the fast tier is the same person who can defend real money for the quarterly analysis, because both choices came from the same reasoning. So Maya reroutes her week, and then Dan, being Dan, arrives with a brand new ask, and it makes a perfect closing question. He needs a briefing this afternoon on how 8 competitors changed their pricing over the past year, with sources his director can check. Option 1, ask in a normal chat. Claude already knows the major competitors. Built-in knowledge has a cutoff and carries no citations. A year of pricing moves would come back, part memory and part guess struck. Option 2, run a separate quick search on each competitor and stitch the 8 results together by hand. Quick search is for 1 or 2 lookups. 8 of them stitched manually is rebuilding the research feature badly on a deadline struck. Option 3, upload last year's competitor deck to a project and ask Claude to update it from memory. A project holds your documents. It does not fetch a year of outside changes, and from memory is option 1 back again in a nicer jacket struck. That leaves the research feature, linked searches, one synthesized briefing, citations attached, and the match stamp lands one last time. So the scorecard: features are matched to the shape of the work, models are matched on quality, speed, and volume, and long chats get restarted, summarized, or persisted before they drift. And Dan, he got his cited briefing the same afternoon. The customer replies now come back as 2 quick sentences on the fast tier, and the quarterly analysis still runs deep on the big model because it earns it. Next episode, Domain 4 Workflow Design, where Dan says roll it out to the whole team, and Maya discovers that a tool is not a workflow.